Combat Night!
Got David Rivera in the red corner. Excuse me, Raad Ajarmeh in the blue. Raad Ajarmeh in the blue corner. David Rivera in the red.
David Rivera is in fact in the blue. Raad Ajarmeh is in the red. Raad has a distinct height advantage here. I believe David's prior fights have been in the 135 division, but not afraid to step up and leading in with that big right hand, hitting Raad right on the jaw, but Raad returning fire with his own left hand on Dave. Dave a little wobbled in there right now, but not stopping the scrap, reading his distance and chopping away to the legs. Raad fires high, David makes a miss and rushes him.
A lot of confidence from Raad at the weigh-ins yesterday. Didn't get a chance to see David Rivera. He had to remotely weigh in. So there wasn't a proper face-off, but Raad had a lot of spunk, shall we say.
You gotta respect a guy's moxie, you know? Big head kick by Raad. David kind of rope-a-dopes it. He's reading on the outside, hands low, and just firing off as soon as he gets in range. Solid work from both guys. Raad definitely has the reach advantage here. He's catching David 2 steps out.
Well, it seems like David is just waiting for that power shot for the counter, whereas Raad is a little bit more technical, a little bit more calculated with his strikes, definitely throwing more volume.
Raad's definitely reading more. David wants to get this done. He wants to make a statement with that big right hand. He's landed it when he's thrown it, but he's definitely waiting way too much to execute.
David really loading up on some of these punches.
And he's connecting. Raad has shown very little head movement or parrying offense or defense. David catches the kick, lets him down. Raad takes advantage of that and just flurries on him for the finish. And that's round 1 in the books. These guys are already driving down from Orlando and Tallahassee. They don't want to go to Miami too.
What about Combat Night Palm Beach? It's very nice up there.
I would love a Combat Night Palm Beach. Please.
If you know a venue, we'll reach out.
I do. I mean, depending on the size you're looking for.
Round number 2 underway.
Raad measuring behind that post. He's getting the right idea. As soon as he's touching David, he's shooting off. But David's being very elusive here. His head movement, though sporadic, is effective. He's making Raad miss. He's just got to kind of take over once he does.
Well, with the edge of experience going to David Rivera, you'd expect to see a little bit more savvy, but Raad is giving him the business.
Yeah, man, just then, David pushed in, Raad dealt with him, fired on the way back, and David did the same thing to him. Let Raad come to him just now and cracked him for the effort.
Yeah, at first I was worried if that southpaw stance out of Raad would give David any trouble, but not at all. He's just coming down. If anything, it lines up that right cross that he wants straight down the center line.
Raad is cracking David, and David does not care. Slinging those shots right back at him. Both guys' heads wobbling around like rock'em sock'em robots.
I feel like David needs to throw a little bit more combinations behind that cross. He's just landing just 1 shot, 2 shot at a time.
He's having good success. He's just backpedaling. We talked about this the other week. It's hard to win a fight walking backwards, even if you are the more efficient striker. Raad's just staying on the front step and playing with his reach advantage. But his shots are missing more than David's.
Short time.
Now this fight is kickboxing, that's why you see the referee in here breaking them up every time they tie up. But later on in the card, we do have a couple Muay Thai bouts, so you'll see the difference when it comes to the Muay Thai. They allow a little bit more clinch involved, an active clinch, whereas kickboxing just straight
the big difference. Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
2 rounds in the books.
What would you say is the major difference, Coach Ben?
The clinching and the knees. When preparing, it's just what you're allowed to use. Florida is such a hotbed for MMA and fighting in general that the clinch is almost innate down here. So when you get guys that are coming in and their opponents being picky or they only want kickboxing, etc., it takes some of our guys out of their natural wheelhouse because they have to remind themselves they're not clinching or they're not able to clinch. That's why we see so many penalties for tying up or warnings for tying up here. Personally, I think the third round is going to tell who wins the fight. I had David ahead in the first. I had Raad ahead just by a little bit in the second. So whoever really gets this one in is going to be taking it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think whoever here lands more combinations and more can string together those punches. It seems like both of these fighters you land one, then I land one, then you land one, then I land one. But whichever fighter can land, 3, 4 punch combinations together, I think they'll be able to walk away with this one here.
100%. That's a sign of like training habits, Dutch drilling, your turn, my turn stuff. You get in front of a guy and you're like, bop, bop, bop. Okay, your turn. Which is a horrible habit to have. Luckily these guys are still pretty early on in their amateur careers, and they can work that out as time progresses.
Like to see Rivera just throw a little bit straighter punches.
Everyone wants to throw home runs, man. They want to hit home runs, so they're whipping big. What's strange is it feels like a harder punch, but in reality it's not. When you engage your hips and turn the pivot, that's when you get power. Just whipping your arms around is not the way to go. But when stress is up, you revert back to that caveman style unless you've refined it within. Let's not forget exhaustion. When you're tired, your technique takes a big step down.
Right now, Raad looks like the fresher man. Big left there.
Man, when David misses, Raad is right there to hit him. He's landing that left straight consistently when David is missing his overhand.
Yeah, it seems like every time David land a couple punches, his own, I don't know if it's exhaustion, is forcing him to just land into an unnecessary clinch.
At the very least, his momentum.
Yeah.
Because he's whipping over the top and his hips are just falling through. Raad opening up for the finish there. Even a couple shots after the bell.
It's so loud in here, it was even tough to hear the bell.
Yeah, it's crazy in here.
It definitely is.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, your judges have reached a decision for your winner. Out of the red corner, Raad Ajarmeh.
Congratulations, Raad Ajarmeh, picking up the unanimous decision in our first bout of the evening.